When you're looking at the Cal Water H2O challenge, sometimes it can be hard to see how you fit this in with everything you're already doing with your curriculum, and it feels really daunting. But really, what works the best is to replace what you're already doing with things for the challenge. Your students will be much more engaged because this is a topic they have chosen. It's a topic they are vested in. And I just find small ways to incorporate it into what I'm doing every day in my classroom anyway. If I'm already going to have them read a nonfiction article, I'll make it about their Cal Water topic. If I'm already going to have them write an informative essay, I'll have it be about one of the foundational pieces of background knowledge that they need for their project. I always tell my students the H2O project is about working smarter, not harder, and I try to really embrace that when I am facilitating the project. And I find it is easier and much more enjoyable when I start replacing things from the curriculum with things that they are interested in because they have chosen that topic and they are vested in seeing this project come to fruition. So for the last 3 years, I've actually taught fourth grade, and I've had really great success with all three of my fourth grade classes doing the Cal Water H2O challenge. And the first thing that fourth grade teachers always ask me whenever I talk about the Cal Water challenge is they say, there are no water standards in fourth grade NGSS standards. And that's correct. It's in fifth grade, but I have found that there's a lot of great science tie-ins to the standards that we do have in fourth grade, specifically the Earth System substandards. Depending on the project we've done, we've hit the weathering standards about how water affects weathering in the soil. We've hit the data and maps standards with looking at different maps of our county and where the watersheds are. We've also hit the impacts on the earth by humans standard and how people can impact our environment around us. And those are all fourth grade Earth System standards. I've also had my students use the engineering standards before, and I've even had them dabble into the energy standards with how is energy converted. So beyond just the science tie-ins and the fact that it will help prepare them for the fifth grade water standards, I actually find that most of the challenge is rooted in the language arts standards. So every topic I've had that my students have picked has needed a lot of research behind it. They need to gain a lot of understanding about what it is they've picked. And that's when I start throwing in those nonfiction reading standards. We just read about it and then they have to respond about it. We always build a class website, and that's where they put all the information that they've learned, which then gets into informative and sometimes persuasive writing. I have them write essays about what they're doing. They put it on the website. So everyone in my classroom ends up reading and writing nonfiction work, which is wonderful. We also have those research standards in Common Core. We've got the language standards. We've got listening and speaking standards, which ties in because I always have groups researching different things. So they present to each other and they have to listen and speak. So really, it ends up hitting almost all of my language arts standards except for fiction reading and fiction writing, which is pretty incredible for one project. So beyond language arts and science, there's always math involved. Usually decimals. I teach them how to add and subtract with decimals by money. Usually we have a grant and they are buying things for the project, and I make them tally it up and I make them be in charge of what we're spending. Depending on if we are buying resources, we might be multiplying, we might be dividing. Sometimes area and perimeter is involved. Sometimes data and graphing is involved. So there's lots of different math standards that you can also tie into the project depending on what your students choose. And in fourth grade, there is a social studies California water system standards. So you can also hit the water system standard for California history if you talk about your local water system. So I have found that this, even though it sounds like a science project, really it's very interdisciplinary and it's almost more of a language arts challenge because that's the majority of the standards that we're hitting in Common Core and NGSS. My students always, every year, say that this project is one of their favorite parts of the year. And they also say it was one of the things that they worked the hardest on. And I see it. They go home and do work, they work on their lunches, and they love it. I have had students come back to me after 4 years and be able to tell me in detail everything they remember from the project and all the things they've learned. And I've never had a kid do that with a worksheet before. So this project ties in with your fourth grade curriculum beautifully, and they'll end up knowing so much more than any canned curriculum really could have given them. I see them grow. They become such incredible writers by the end of it. They read text way above their reading level and learn how to dissect it. They become passionate about science. And really, what more could you ask for a project?
The H2O Challenge is a perfect opportunity to empower kids to become better students. They learn how to take charge of their education, research, analyze information critically, and take that information that they have learned and they use that in their lives, and it becomes part of their culture. I've had students who have made water conservation and environmental topics become part of their daily conversations. I had one student that the water challenge impacted her so much that she felt compelled to write a letter to the editors to tell the people in her community the importance of water conservation. As an educator, I've always looked at the data. And what the data has consistently shown me is that my students who participate in the challenge end up becoming better students. Their test scores rank the highest in my district and often the highest in my county. And that is because they learn how to look at data critically. They learn how to determine what is valid and what is invalid, and they learn how to take charge of their learning. They become so successful and they become proud of what they're learning. They want to share it. And more importantly, I've always told my kids, my job is not to teach you what to think, but how to think. And that is exactly what the H2O project has always done for my kids. They have learned how to think, and they learn how to communicate their thoughts with others in the community.